Yeah, I agree. I also think, a part of this is, pattern recognition. I'm from Iran. I'm Armenian. I'm Assyrian. You're Egyptian, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm not mistaken, you're a Coptic
Yes.
Christian, right? Which,
Yes.
by the way, the story about the 21 Coptic Christians of them being held up and saying, hey, you better, denounce your belief in Jesus. And they didn't do it. And we know the story on how that story ended up for them.
Yeah, my aunt knew some of those kids. She has a program for poor kids in the garbage slums in Cairo, and some of those kids came through her program, her school and training, and then went out and got jobs. They would get jobs in Libya because there was money to be made. There were jobs there for the poor. And then they would send the money back to their impoverished families. So I have a bit of a personal connection with that story.
Yeah, and tragic story when you hear about this, right? But, when it comes down to your faith, what you believe in, what you've gone through, but I come over here, I see some of the stuff that's going on with health. You're sitting there saying, this just doesn't make any sense. Why are you having a hard time explaining this? Like they say, well, if we look at pattern recognition, all right, where did AIDS come from? Well, they came from monkeys. All right, so is AIDS predominantly with straight men and women, or is it more homosexuals? No, it's more on. So then can we go a little bit deeper on this study to find out really what's going on? And can we just say it instead of trying to make everybody happy? It's okay. Like we all have certain things that we do, but we need to be educated about it. And then instead of looking the other way, whether it's the Lyme disease, whether it's this, whether it's COVID, I think there are plenty of patterns, politically, what country you come from. If I want to get immigration to come in, and I will look at it and say, which country sends us the best and the smartest? All right, let's keep getting more from here that comes in. Which one sends us the most that become criminals and they cause havoc in America? Let's pump the brake with this here. Why? It's racist. No, it's called data. It's pattern recognition. It's not racist. A company hires from certain schools because they feel those schools raise better people. When I talk to Billy Bean from Moneyball and the movie Moneyball, I don't know if you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
At this point, we're promoting so many movies today. I hope you realize we're making people money today. This has nothing to do with the FDA, folks. Secretly, we work for a WME endeavor. We're promoting movies and actors. But in this movie, I interviewed this guy, brought him 3 times, Billy Bean. And specifically, he came to 3 of my business conferences with one request: please don't record. That's his only ask. And I said, great. Fascinating guy to have at the event.
Yeah.
I said, what do you recruit for? He said, we recruit for upbringing, how your parents raised you. Because if the kid is coachable, we can have an easier time training them and building them. Of course, physical abilities, how fast you run, your arm. And then you have the how-to skill set. And then, But they have these patterns they recruit for. Is that racist? No. Why do they bring these Dodger focusing on Japan right now? Dodgers probably has a headquarters in Japan. They're just like, who's the next Shohei Ohtani? Because their training routines are better. I just think if we go back to pure logic patterns to educate the American people and stop worrying about offending who, we'll make better health choices. But if we play politics, the people are like, stop with these politics. Just let me make a decision for myself with the research.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're still playing a little bit of politics. When it comes onto our health. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's funny. Mpox, you mentioned Mpox, it was called Monkeypox, but there was a group of people at the CDC. I'm told it was Demetrius and those other guys that stormed out a few months ago. And they said, well, this is an inappropriate term because this could create a stigma. They wouldn't say it was a sexually transmitted infection. For weeks, they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't be honest with the American people that it was a sexually transmitted infection. After a while, people figured it out. And so they said they have to rename it mpox. And there was a big effort to rename it mpox from monkeypox. This is the same CDC that has pregnant people and pregnant persons.
It's out of control. It's like, just talk to me. Rob, can you pull up this article? This is the article. I mean, no one's going to know his name, but everyone's going to know the face. I just sent you a link, Rob, if you just want to put, there you go. I see what you're doing. So if you see this from PBS, pbs.org, this came out 3 years ago. Do you remember that face? Go up a little bit so the audience can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody remembers his face. We're supposed to trust him. No, that's the guy that we were supposed to trust. Trust the science.
He was part of the cover-up.
Of course he was.
For the Chinese.
So the World Health Organization chief advises men to reduce number of sexual partners to avoid monkeypox. So why'd you name it monkeypox? That's offensive. Are you saying that they had sex with a monkey and that's how it got started? No, like just tell us the full story, right. You know, so we can improve our lifestyle and how we live. And if you, like for example, I have friends that know not using a condom increases your chance of getting sexual transmitted diseases, right?
Having multiple sexual encounters with men who you don't know. Like, they couldn't say that. They couldn't say that was bad for you. It's that it's risky to have sex with multiple male individuals that you don't know.
What's wrong with saying that?
They couldn't say that.
Why
the CDC couldn't say that.
Why can't they say that, though? Because it's what? It's offensive. I have a friend that will never use a condom. And he's like, and he has had one too many partners. And he's paid a price for it. You know, he's had some things where, you know, in the military, nobody in the military wanted to get gonorrhea because they used to use this phrase dry rot. And I don't know if you know the story of what they do when you get gonorrhea in the Army. That's good you don't know, but you would hear a guy screaming like you've never heard a guy scream because of what they had to do. And I won't get too visual.
Please.
I won't get too visual. But it's not a good situation when it would happen in the Army. And the doctor would tell him, here's how you got it. And guess what he would say? Still not going to use a condom, doc. So, but guess what? At least he knows the risk because he's being told what it is.
This is the actual vector of transmission, multiple sexual encounters with men who you don't know. That was actually what they traced the transmission to, and they couldn't say it.
And you remember the laws they changed because at one point, if you were HIV positive and you had sex with somebody and you didn't tell them you're HIV positive, at one point it wasn't a crime. Then it became a felony, and then they lowered it, I believe, to misdemeanor. I think the state of California did this, Rob. If you want to look this up so we can correct what I'm saying on this. But you have to say, hey, just so you know, before we have sex with each other, you would tell the partner. And then great. So there's that, risk that the individual knows. One of the states had this, could have been California. Yeah. So I think it's more about just talk to us like adults.
Yeah.
Don't be politicians. Tell us what the issue is. Let us make a decision. Say it in a respectful way. Yeah, states that modernize the law, these states have reduced the HIV-related charges to misdemeanor now unless intentional transmission is proven. California, Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Jersey, Virginia, Washington, Illinois, Arkansas, partial, Kansas, partial. What is partial? Knowingly exposing someone without disclosures, misdemeanor, max 6 months. Intentionally, general felony, assault laws apply. This kind of was brought up in the Charlie Sheen documentary, which we're promoting again because we're the executive producers. Charlie Sheen documentary, if you haven't seen it, this was asked. When did you have unprotected sex with people when you were HIV and not tell them about it? He says, no, I told people and all this stuff, they knew the risk. Anyways, has to do with health. So I had to put a quick plug in to that documentary.
Got all the health topics covered today.
Get all the health topics. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.